I am he. Is this man your servant? Added the policeman, pointing to Passepartout. Yes. Be so good, both of you, as to follow me. Mr. Fogg betrayed no surprise whatever. The policeman was a representative of the law, and law is sacred to an Englishman. Passepartout tried to reason about the matter, but the policeman tapped him with his stick, and Mr. Fogg made him a signal to obey. May this young lady go with us? Asked he. She may, replied the policeman. Mr. Fogg, Ouda, and Passepartout were conducted to a palkagari, a sort of four-wheeled carriage, drawn by two horses, in which they took their places and were driven away. No one spoke during the 20 minutes which elapsed before they reached their destination. They first passed through the Black Town, with its narrow streets, its miserable, dirty huts, and squalid population, then through the European town, which presented a relief in its bright brick mansions, shaded by coconut trees and bristling with masts, where, although it was early morning, elegantly dressed horsemen and handsome equipages were passing back and forth. The carriage stopped before a modest-looking house, which, however, did not have the appearance of a private mansion. The policeman having requested his prisoners for so, truly, they might be called to descend, conducted them into a room with barred windows, and said, "You will appear before Judge Obadiah at 8:30. He then retired, and closed the door. "Why, we are prisoners!" exclaimed Passepartout, falling into a chair. Ouda, with an emotion she tried to conceal, said to Mr. Fogg, "Sir, you must leave me to my fate. It is on my account that you receive this treatment, it is for having saved me." Phileas Fogg contented himself with saying that it was impossible. It was quite unlikely that he should be arrested for preventing a suttee. The complainants would not dare present themselves with such a charge. There was some mistake. Moreover, he would not, in any event, abandon Ouda, but would escort her to Hong Kong. "But the steamer leaves at noon," observed Passepartout, nervously. "We shall be on board by noon," replied his master, placidly. It was said so positively that Passepartout could not help muttering to himself, Parbleu, that's certain. Before noon we shall be on board. But he was by no means reassured. At 8:30 the door opened, the policeman appeared, and, requesting them to follow him, led the way to an adjoining hall. It was evidently a courtroom, and a crowd of Europeans and natives already occupied the rear of the apartment. Mr. Fogg and his two companions took their places on a bench opposite the desks of the magistrate and his clerk. Immediately after, Judge Obadiah, a fat, round man, followed by the clerk, entered. He proceeded to take down a wig which was hanging on a nail, and put it hurriedly on his head. "The first case," said he. Then, putting his hand to his head, he exclaimed, "Hey! This is not my wig." "No, your worship," returned the clerk, "it is mine." "My dear Mr. Oysterpuff, how can a judge give a wise sentence in a clerk's wig?" The wigs were exchanged. Passepartout was getting nervous, for the hands on the face of the big clock over the judge seemed to go around with terrible rapidity. "The first case," repeated Judge Obadiah. "Phileas Fogg?" demanded Oysterpuff. "I am here," replied Mr. Fogg. "Passepartout?" "Present," responded Passepartout. "Good," said the judge. "You have been looked for, prisoners, for 2 days on the trains from Bombay." "But of what are we accused?" asked Passepartout, impatiently. "You are about to be informed." "I am an English subject, sir," said Mr. Fogg, "and I have the right." "Have you been ill-treated?" "Not at all." "Very well, let the complainants come in." A door was swung open by order of the judge, and 3 Indian priests entered. "That's it," muttered Passepartout, "these are the rogues who were going to burn our young lady."